Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're coming back at you again today with Zan Comerford from Litework Marketing. And today's webinar is You've Got an E-commerce Site, Now What? Really excited for this one. This webinar is brought to you by the Slocan Valley Economic Development Partnership, the Nakusp and Area Development Board, and Community Futures Central Kootenay. My name is Karen, and I'm the Business Support Advisor for the Slocan Valley. If you're in the Valley and you got a business and you need some help, whether that's with digital marketing or whatever, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I'll put my email in the chat, but for those of you who will be watching the recording, it's karenk@futures.bc.ca. So Zan will be doing the presentation today, and she has some great resources you can guide you to at the end of the webinar. For those of you in the Arrow Lake region, your business support advisor is the fabulous Aiden. He's here to help you. And for everyone else outside the Slocan Valley and Arrow Lake region, Community Futures and Basin Business Advisors have a ton of supports for you. So check them both out. For today's webinar, if you have a question, please use the Q&A function. Or if you forget and use the chat, don't worry, we got you covered. We'll be checking both. And Zan will take questions throughout the presentation, so don't be shy. And the recording of this webinar will be available to everyone who registered. I'll send it out probably by tomorrow. So thank you everyone for being here. And
awesome. Thanks, Karen. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. You've got an e-commerce site, now what? Where we're going to cover actionable strategies for growing traffic, sales, and customer satisfaction. So I'd just like to start by acknowledging that the land now known as Canada is the unceded and unsurrendered territory of many Indigenous nations, and that Litework Marketing and myself in my personal life, we reside on the traditional unceded territory of the Sinixt and Ktunaxa nations. So a little bit about me. I've been getting people to do things online for nearly a decade. I cut my teeth marketing global immersive events and then refined my skills working with brick and mortar businesses, virtual events, and virtual stores like e-commerce stores. My expertise lies in connecting businesses with the cultural component of the audiences they serve, and then helping them use that connection to drive sales. So that's a really important aspect of all of this for me is, does it actually drive sales? And if you're in this webinar, it's likely that you are in a position where you have built an e-commerce site. Either you've gotten someone to build it for you or you built it yourself and you're like, okay, and then what? How do we get the sales rolling in? How do I get people with my Instagram, or how do I get them to my site? How do I actually make this thing a viable business model? So, well, obviously, e-commerce strategy is something that could take a lot more than an hour. I'm going to walk you through a variety of different tactics that you can use, some new concepts around marketing, or concepts that might be new to you around marketing, and look at like, what do we do after we've made the huge accomplishment of getting our e-commerce site built? Okay, so during this hour, we're going to be looking at creative and low-cost ways to drive traffic, changes you can make to help reduce the visitors that bounce without buying, look at which platforms are the most important to connect to help this whole like marketing ecosystem work really well, and then how do you create an e-commerce marketing strategy that really works for you? So what I would love before we get started, if you could pop in either the Q&A function or the chat, probably the chat function for this one, if you could just pop in kind of where you're at with your e-commerce. You'd be like, just got my site built, or you could say like sales are trickling in, or you could say like sales are really pretty steady. I'm just looking for what to do, how to do more. So if we could just take a couple minutes and everyone pop in the chat kind of where they're at with their e-commerce journey, that will help me tailor this information to you. Sales are sporadic, working on site. So it currently sells on Etsy. Needing more sales online. Anybody else want to be brave? I see there's 13 of you. Built the site in October and sales are coming in. WordPress and WooCommerce. Getting ready to open the Shopify. Site is built, steady enrollment. Would like to get more. Awesome. Site on WordPress. are good, looking to make things better. Awesome. Okay, cool. So it seems like there's a range of people at different levels. So I'm hoping that I'll offer you something that whether you're a total beginner or you are getting some steady sales, you can find some takeaways. So let's start. Okay, so the first concept that I want to introduce to all of us here is the marketing funnel. So all of the things that you're going to do to, answer that question, I've got an e-commerce site now, it's important that you remember this main philosophy that people will meet you at different stages of the marketing funnel. So when people interact with, I'm going to go back one slide. Here we go. So this is a marketing funnel. And so the marketing funnel is a concept that people need to hear different messaging because there are different stages of purchasing awareness. So at the top of the funnel is awareness. They're being exposed to what you offer. It's the first time they're hearing about you, etc. And as they move down the funnel through discovery and consideration, that's when they're starting to weigh the benefits of what you offer. There's maybe comparing you with your competitors or with people that offer different products to you. As they move down into conversions where they're making the purchase, that's an important word to remember if you're new to all this, is conversion is when you get people to do what you want them to do. So that's a sale or that's an email list sign up or a registration for your course. That's a conversion, or when someone converted. A couple other terms I'm going to use in this workshop are ROI, which means return on investment, or ROAS, which is return on your ad spend. And then SEO is search engine optimization. I get some questions about that sometimes. I think those are kind of the terms that often I get questions about. So I just want to get those out of the way. So as you move through to conversion, then you move into retention and customer relationship. And that's a big one that we're going to talk about in this workshop is how do you keep people coming back? Do you have something that keeps them coming back? So as this marketing funnel, everyone's interacting with it, whether they're first-time purchasers from your company or it's their, I said first time, or whether it's their fourth time and they're coming back and they're just in that retention bottom of the funnel piece. So at the top of the funnel is awareness. So that's where they're like becoming aware of you, interest, decision, and action. So where are they at when they're at these different stages of awareness with you? So at the top of the funnel, they're problem aware. And so I just want you to flag this information that I'm about to talk about because this is what's going to inform your marketing efforts, right? So this is what's going to inform how you talk on social, how you talk in your newsletters that go out to people, how you talk about things if you're doing print advertising, because let's say your audience, let's say just for simplicity's sake, right? Your audience is 15 people. Obviously, it's a lot larger than that. And so 5 of those people are going to be at the problem level, right? They're coming in fresh. And then 5 of those people are going to be in the mid-level and 5 of those people are going to be at the bottom. And so if you are only using the same kind of messaging all the time for your customer, you're only talking to these 5 people, let's say. So let's say, I'm going to go back to the beginning here. So problem aware. At the top of the funnel, people are problem aware. As they move through the funnel, they become solution aware and then they become product aware. So what does that mean in kind of reality when we're doing this for marketing? Here's the example that I think lays it out the clearest. So at the top, if I'm walking down the street and I'm thirsty and tired and I want an Americano because it's my favorite drink, I'm problem aware. So my problem is that I'm thirsty, right? That's the first thought that comes into my head, like, oh, coffee would be good. That's my problem. So it's important to remember that your customer's problem isn't necessarily like so black and white. And people get confused there because they're like, well, I sell like perfume. Like my customer's problem is that they want to smell good. Like, is that a problem? Yes, it is a problem. So don't get confused if you think that it's like, well, I'm not like, a plumber. It's like their pipe is broken. That's a problem. I fix that problem. It's whatever's prompting them to look you out, search you out. So they're problem aware. So I'm walking down the street and I'm like, oh, I want a coffee. I'm problem aware. And then as I move down the funnel in my mind, I'm solution aware. I'm like, okay, who has good coffees? This cafe has coffee. This cafe has good coffee, but their Americanos are kind of weak. And I'm comparing and contrasting, right? This one's affordable, but this one has Wi-Fi. Like, what do I need right now? And that's when I'm solution aware. And then as I move down into the decision, features, hooks, and proof, it's like, what's going to sway me over to making that decision is that, based on whatever my like orientation is to what's going to make me make a purchase. So what's the most important to me as a customer? And for me, in this coffee scenario, I really like to get steamed oat milk on top of my Americano. So I'm going to be looking for somewhere that's affordable to do that. They don't charge $1.50 for oat milk, it's 50 cents. So I'm like, oh, not this cafe has this thing that I'm looking for. That's going to be my decision making. So you can see that's a really key example of how this funnel works. Another coffee-based example is to picture like a billboard. You know, Starbucks does it the most kind of easy to understand. If you picture a Starbucks or whatever kind of drink board, and it says like thirsty at the top, and then it's like cool off from the heat, right? Or like hot out, cool off from the heat. And then it has like iced mochachinos, $4.95. So that's literally that clear of the funnel as you read down the poster. Pretty genius. So it's like talking about the core problem, thirsty, introducing the solution, like cool off or quench your thirst. And then the product features and hooks is the price, and like it's only available for a limited time. So this is the marketing funnel. We just want to be aware of this concept as we're doing our marketing efforts. But the biggest way that I see people make, small business owners make mistakes when it comes to this is that they're always down here. So they're always just like, this shirt is $15.95. Like, we just got this new product and it's $10.95. Da, 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 da. We're always talking about the product. We're forgetting about what they like, what they want up top, the problem aware. And so as you're going through your social and all of your ways to drive traffic, you just want to remember, like, am I talking to people at different levels of the funnel? And then the last thing I just want to say about this, and when we talk about problem aware and just like a little marketing tip, if you missed my other workshops where I go more into like marketing efforts, is this phrase from Donald Miller's Story brand. It's that people make external decisions based on internal problems. So that's what you want to think about with the problem aware, especially if you're selling like jewelry or clothes or anything really. It's like, that's our society, right? We buy things not because we just like need a good functional lamp. There's like something internal going on. We want it because it like reminds us of vacations, or it like reminds us of like a whimsical time. It reminds us that we're magical, or it like helps us feel XYZ. So those are just a rundown on the marketing funnel and a little reminder that like you're speaking to people's internal reality. So just to recap this whole funnel expose, forgetting to talk to all parts of your funnel is like shoving a purchase into someone's hand the minute they walk into the store. So if in your marketing efforts, like I said, you're making that very common mistake of only talking to people at the bottom of the funnel, it's like having someone walk into your imaginary brick and mortar store, or maybe some of you have brick and mortar stores, and being like, here's a shirt, it's size 12, it's a $12.99, right? And it's like, whoa, I need to look around. I need you to ask me how the day was. Like, I need to make this decision myself. So the marketing funnel is extremely important. Okay, so what is the first step when you have an e-commerce store? The first things first is that we want to assess. And so I really recommend busting open a notebook or busting open a Google Doc and being like, okay, let's get really granular about this, because we can kind of know in the back of our heads, like, yeah, like I get most of my traffic from this source, or like, I know this is kind of the best seller, and like most people come to the homepage and then do this, but I want you to really take the time to list these things out, because this is the best and easiest way. This is like the low-hanging fruit to improve your customer journey experience and improve your site experience. So first things we're going to look at are, what are your current sources of traffic? So where are people coming from? How are they getting to your site? So if you're using Google Analytics, this can help show you that. Or if you're using Shopify or a Wix site, you can have analytics built in. However you look at your analytics, and if you're not looking at your analytics, that's something you definitely want to start doing. I'm always amazed at how many folks running e-commerce stores or small businesses that use online like conversion areas, like that you do purchases or reservations or something like that online, don't check their analytics enough or at all. So what are your current sources of traffic? What are your top selling and most popular products? What budget can you allocate for advertising? Where do people usually leave your site from? This is key. So just as much as our successes inform our marketing strategy, our failure, well, not failures, but our weak points maybe, or our bounce rates, these things, like where do people leave from? What makes them leave? But are they always leaving from the same page? Do they almost put things in a cart and then don't? Do they spend a lot of time looking at our product page and then leave? all of that information is available to you in analytics and is essential to look at. And then are your platforms connected? So this is just a start of the questions you want to ask yourself. So when I say platforms connected, it's like, do we have Google Analytics connected? Do we have MailChimp connected? Do we have like a newsletter? If it's not MailChimp, if it's something else. Is our Facebook pixel, I'm going to go into that in a second, is that connected to our site? Is our Instagram product tagging set up? So is there like an ecosystem here, or are all of our pieces kind of speaking alone? Like, is our Facebook over here, it's not connected to our Instagram account, there's no analytics, our site's over here, and nothing is connected. So we want to connect all of our stuff so we can make sure that things are talking to each other. Okay. So in part of this assessment period, we want to remember that all of our success begins with removing blockages on the site. So the key question here is, does your site work the way people expect sites to work? How's your load speed? Is your site really slow? Does it take a long time for products to load, or your picture's too big? Do you have video on your site that like doesn't actually start playing when people land on it? Do they have to wait once they go because the video is too big? Are your calls to action clear? So are you speaking to people the way they want to be spoken to? Maybe you have like a quirky audience and they want your like purchase buttons to be like, let's do this. Or you just need like, it's super simple. Like you just need very clear instructions. Fill out this form, click next, and we'll get back to you in 24 hours. Is it really, really clear? Is it easy for people to purchase from you? Do they have to e-transfer you through your Instagram DM to be able to purchase from you, or can they go to your site and just make a purchase no matter what time of day? Do they have to hear back from you? Do you take credit card or PayPal? Like, how easy is it for people to give you money? That's like the question. Other things to consider are like, are product recommendations live? So if people are looking at something, one of your products, can they see similar products? They're in a different price range. And just a note on that, like you want to know a list of all of the hesitancies that your customers might have to purchasing from you. Because if you know like the 10 reasons why someone would not purchase from you, then you can make tactical adjustments in your website and in your marketing efforts to address those things, right? So if price is one of the reasons why people might not purchase from you, then imagine how powerful it is if all of a sudden your product recommendations are, let's say they're looking at a print and then they've got product recommendations live that the print's $400 or the original's $400. And then you've got product recommendations live underneath that are like, oh, postcards are 10, like a coffee mug is 20, so they can have the item they want, but at a different price range. So then you're addressing that price blockage to purchase right there in the e-commerce site without having to be explicit, without having to say like, too expensive for you, try out these options, So just an aside there, you want to know what are the blockages people would have to purchasing from me. Too expensive, not enough variety. It's hard. It's hard to look at our business through that lens. But if we don't do that, then we're missing out on opportunities to rectify and like assuage those blockages. Are your categories easy to understand? So the whole thing we're trying to do here is reduce the number of clicks that people have to do the desired action, right? So is it like they have to click into like sweaters, men's, fall, wool, like all these different categories, or is it really easy for them to find what they're looking for through your categorization process? And then at the bottom there, you see how many steps or clicks does it take for a person to get the desired result. So ideally, you want this to be like under 4 clicks, like homepage, category, size, for example, purchase, right? And then checkout. So I just want to say one more thing here in this recommendation is, as you're going through and with that Google Doc or that pen and paper, actually writing all these things down, what are you writing down? You're writing down all of the reasons why someone might not purchase from you. You're writing down all of the blockages that you can improve on your site. So clarity, messaging, tone, product recommendations, categories, all the things that you're like, okay, I'm looking at my favorite sites and they have these things. This is what I purchase from them all the time. Let's look at my site and see how I can make my site echo those things. And then I recommend that you call a friend. So you phone a friend and you want that honest friend, right? Not somebody that's just going to be like, oh, congrats, you built an e-commerce site. That's amazing. You want those people in your corner, but you also want to find someone and get them to go to your site and be like, so when would you leave? Like, when would you stop. What about my site would make you question my credibility? What about my site would make you bounce? What about my site would make you like maybe not purchase a product? What about the purchasing process would make you not purchase a product? Because we get so invested in our own businesses that we almost know them too well. And so we're like, obviously you would purchase it because it's a high quality oil painting that made me take me like all this time. And it's a really good deal if you consider it to all these other people, right? But we don't view our businesses enough from the outside in. So what you want to do is ask that friend to be ruthless and tell me like, when would you leave? These are questions. When would you leave? When would you feel like maybe this isn't actually that legit of a business, or like maybe they don't get enough sales? When would you leave during the purchasing process? Like, when would you just quit and why? Because if she's like, I would get to your homepage and leave because it's like too complicated, it's hard to figure it out, and your photos don't even load, you need to know that information, right? Good, or what's the saying? Like, unhappy customers just don't come back. They don't leave you a message saying why they left your site. So you want to phone that friend and get their honest opinion. So now that you've gone through and made all these amazing adjustments to your site and you're like, oh yes, this is like a smooth money-making machine. How do you get people there? It comes down to money and time. So really it's like, I always say this kind of works on like a scale. It's like, if you have more money in your marketing budget, then you can, it's not necessarily you can spend less time, but it's like, if you have a good marketing budget or healthy one, whatever, it's like, depending on how much money you have, you can boost your content, you can spend more on advertising. It might mean that you can spend less time like writing blog posts or doing newsletters or making videos or making reels or posting social media, because those are like where your effort takes up that kind of budget. It's your time that you're spending, instead of just being like, oh, I make one video a week and then put $800 on it and it drives all these sales. So it's a scale. How much money do you have? How much time do you have? So let's look at the kind of easiest ways for you to drive people to your site through paid advertising online. So the first book one is Facebook ads. I think I just said the first book. The first one is Facebook ads. So when I say Facebook ads, I mean Facebook and Instagram ads, because Meta now owns Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook and Instagram ads are run at the same place, which is in your ads manager, your Facebook ads manager. So pros of Facebook and Instagram ads: easy to make a big visual impact with small budgets. So visual ads, you can do video, you can boost your existing content. It's easy to use, pause, and track results. So it's a really pretty easy back end there. It's easy for folks to get kind of comfortable back there and be able to analyze what's working and what's not and make changes on the fly. There's also fantastic audience management. So this is what I was talking about being able to make sure your Facebook pixel, which is a piece of code that allows Facebook and Instagram to talk to your website, make sure that that is live so it's all talking to each other, so you can serve people ads who have engaged with you on Instagram or Facebook and then been to your site. So what are the cons of Facebook and Instagram advertising? Well, it takes testing and time. So that's true for any paid advertising, even print. You have to see what works. You have to spend time going back there. It's not a set it and forget it. None of this is. You can't just put $200 on it and then come back at the end and be like, ah, crap, this didn't do very well. You need to stay on top of it. It's a competitive space. So everyone knows how good Facebook and Instagram advertising is. So there's lots of noise out there. And then this is a typo. It shouldn't say you can retarget abandoned carts. That is a positive. So there's actually one more thing I wanted to say in the lexicon portion, is that retargeting or remarketing means serving ads to people who have already engaged with you. Okay, so key points for success with Facebook and Instagram ads is your pixel. So these are just some screenshots about how you do this. So I recommend you go into facebook.com/ads manager. And then you're going to go over here to all tools, here to events manager, and then, and then you're going to get something like this that shows your pixel. So if you don't have a pixel on your site, then this is going to be, it'll prompt you to create a pixel. And if you have so this is just a pixel here, this little number. And so if you have a WooCommerce site or a Drupal site or something that's coded, you'll get a section of code that you either want to put into your header or into, you do want to put it into your header and then into your complete checkout pages as well. And if you have like a Shopify or a Wix or a Squarespace site, something that is plug and play, there's a spot for your Facebook pixels to go in. So either ask someone to help you with this, but if you use social media at all, if you use Facebook and Instagram at all for your marketing efforts, you want to make sure this is connected. And then once you connect it, this is how you can make these custom audiences. So you see here, you can target people who've been to your website, and inside that, you can target people who have been to not only your website, but have been to a specific web page on your website. So let's say you have spring sweaters on sale. You can target only people that have been to the spring sweater site. You can do dynamic ads, which means that it will pull the data from the person's behavior on your site. So if they looked at a certain sweater, then that sweater will follow them around. You can target people who have been to this page, but not this page. And then you can target people who have either purchased before or added to cart or added payment info and not completed a purchase, which is huge, right? You can also then from that data, make a lookalike audience of your people who have taken those behaviors on your website. So what a lookalike audience is it's a percentile based like data profiling. So the easiest way to look at it is that it's like, if I bought your product, the chances that like people one degree of separation from me would also buy your product is pretty high, right? It's like my friends would probably like the same stuff I like, or the people that I run with, or my demographic. So that is like an amazing tool. It takes the guesswork out that we used to do with interest-based audiences, which still have their place. So with this, you can also set up Instagram. So if anybody that's engaged with your Instagram account, you can target. Anyone that's engaged with your Facebook page, you can target, etc. You can also upload a customer list. So if you are having a good steady stream of purchases and those folks are opting in when they purchase your mailing list, you can upload that. You can connect it to MailChimp so that it drives sales for you that way. And then you can also, like, if you have a customer list in your store, you can upload a CSV file. Okay, so moving on to Google Ads. So Google Ads are either search or display. And so search means it's text ads that come up when people are searching for your product. So whether they're searching for your literal brand name, which can be a great way to hack SEO. So let's say people type in like Brownwood doctor office and you're not the first one to come up. You can set your Google Ads so that when anyone types in Brownwood doctor office, they see your ad at the top. So if you are, maybe you have a local business and you want people that are searching for your product, kayak rentals in this area, you can target, you want to be the first one that they see. Another great way here is you're always talking to people, or not always, but often you're talking to people at the mid funnel, because you're talking to people that are looking, they're searching, right? They're searching in Google for something that's going to trigger your ad to come up. So maybe they're looking for a manicure, or they're looking at like funky bow jewelry or something. They're already looking for what you have to offer. You're not just like interrupting them with something you hope they want. You can attain social proof by advertising on credible networks. So this is like with the Google display ads or YouTube ads, you can be like, maybe you have a tourism-based business, you can set your Google ads to advertise on like Condé Nast Traveler or like Canadian Geographic, because Google rents ad space from them. So that can be really cool if you kind of want to look, I don't want to say if you want to look like a big deal, but it's like there's a certain credibility, right? It's like seeing an ad in a magazine. It's different seeing it off of social and in kind of the wilds of the internet. As with Facebook and Instagram, you can retarget your abandoned carts, which is great. So what are the cons of Google Ads? Well, they're tricky to perfect and it's easy to go over budget because the backend is a little bit more complicated than the Facebook and Instagram advertising backend. The feedback I get and the experience that I've had myself in the backend is that it's like the analytics are a bit more complicated to understand, and the layout is a bit more complicated. And it can take more time to get the results that you want, because it comes down to like adjusting the bid and things like that based on what is available. So a little bit more complicated, but can be really effective, especially if like you don't really have a social friendly business. Let's say you sell like plumbing parts or something like that, and you're like, I'm not going to do Instagram reels about my plumbing parts. I understand that. So Google Ads can be really good for you. And then the third way of driving traffic that we're going to look at is blogging and SEO. So pros of blogging, so it's updating your site as regularly as possible with like long form written content. It helps your site rank higher for targeted keywords. So the more you're updating your site and the better the messaging is, like how targeted the messaging is to people that are searching for those terms, the higher the rank in Google. It can help you attract new leads. It gives you material to share or to have other people share, which helps build credibility and build reputation. So let's say you sell, these webinars are so fun because I get to come up with all these example businesses. You sell tiki cups. So let's say you sell tiki cups and you wrote a blog on like the 10 best tiki bars to visit in San Diego. Then that goes into all the people looking for things to do in San Diego. You know, it opens up your audience and can drive so much site traffic for people that maybe aren't looking to purchase tiki cups, but they are going to San Diego. And then when they find your site, they love your stuff and they buy a tiki cup from you. Or if they don't right then, you can retarget them with your social ads. So it's great for that and helps build a positive reputation because you become an expert and an information source. What are the cons of blogging and SEO? They take time to write and they take time to write well. And there's a learning curve there. You know, we've all had it and it comes up often with clients that I'm working with is like, what is the value of a blog if you only did a blog once? If there's like one blog every quarter, or if it's really slow. SEO is a long-term strategy. So it's like you're looking at your site traffic results over a year. Inconsistency can be a challenge of like, as I said, like maybe you do 2 blogs a month for 3 months and then 6 months go by and you don't write a blog and then your blog looks like it's dead or looks like it's just not, there's no incentive for people to check back there because the content was inconsistent. Again, when you're looking at the scale of money and time, it's like, how do you calculate the ROI on a blog? Because you're using your time or you're paying someone to write it and that it's long tail, those results. So now that they're on your site and we've gone through all this traffic work, how do we get them to buy? So let's think about why people abandon carts. So an abandoned cart is when they have put something into their cart and then left. So bouncing is when they get there and they just leave. They look at the site, they don't move anywhere deeper, and they just leave. So sometimes some reasons why people might have bounced from their cart is it's the wrong traffic source. So maybe you used a picture in your Google ad of like a sweater, and then the link took them to your homepage that just has like bikinis because it's spring. So you have to make sure that you're consistent with the images that you're putting out into the world or the assets that you're putting out into the world, and then where those assets are drawing you to. Maybe it's an inconsistent design. So maybe you kind of what you're pushing isn't what you're selling. Like maybe you were just posting these super minimalist photos on Instagram and Facebook that were ads. And then when you get to your site, it's like super bright colors and it's really different because you haven't updated your site in a while or something like that. What I'm getting at there is like, they feel like what they were looking for isn't what they got when they got to your site. Maybe there's a lack of softer CTAs. So this is like that funnel piece again, popping up. So maybe they go to your homepage and it's just like summer collection, buy now, like winter collection, buy now. And maybe they're at the top funnel. They were just like, I just wanted to look at like your Instagram, or I just wanted to like see what your about us was. I'm not ready to buy now. So I'm just going to leave. So that's why you need to consider like, are there places on your website for people at different stages of the funnel? So why do they abandon carts? Obviously, we've all done it. Sometimes people just need time to consider, which is why you want to make sure that you have your pixel connected and you have your abandoned cart set up. One second, I'm going to show. Hello, background sound there. So lack of softer CTAs, time to consider. Right. Okay. Yes. So, you know, we've all done it where you like put it in the cart and then you wait to see, you want to wait and consider, maybe look at some options, check your bank account, whatever it may be. So then it's so important to consider, like, do you have the functionality on your site so that if I come back to your cart that day, that afternoon, are the things still in my cart or are they gone? And I have to put them all back in, because chances are I'm not going to do that. If I'm logged in as a customer, are you going to send me an email saying like, hey, you forgot these things in your cart? Are you going to serve me with a dynamic ad saying that I forgot those things in my cart? Or like, there's more like this, where that came from. So it's like, if we don't have that ecosystem set up where I talked about getting our platforms connected, we just lose all those people. And it's always interesting whenever I talk about setting up your ecosystem, people are like, okay, so this gives me all my site traffic. If I connect the Facebook pixel, I've got those people, I can serve from those people from like a whole year. I've been doing all this effort trying to drive people to my site. And the answer is no, you lost them. They're gone. So you want to, from your site audience, you can probably get them on your social audience, but it's like, there's no time like the present to get your things connected, because it starts from today. It doesn't happen. If I went to your site yesterday and you connected your pixels today, you don't have my data. Maybe they're waiting for a sale is why they abandon the cart. So that's another reason why you want to have everything connected, so you can make sure that you email everyone. You know, MailChimp has amazing functionality for this. And I'm sure the Shopify native email marketing software does as well. I know it does. So you can email everyone that was looking at these products with this message. You know, it makes it so easy to make sure that you're talking to people, which all means that maybe they need to be prompted, right? So again, just drilling that home, how do you get them to bounce back? It's an ecosystem approach. So you keep hearing me say this, remarketing and dynamic ads. So having things connected so that you're always getting in touch with people based on what they're doing on your site, with different messaging based on what they're doing. Email marketing recommendations. Noticing the majority of abandoned products and assessing sales. So this is huge too. It's like, how do we, are we taking a minute kind of every month or every week and looking at, okay, what products are being having abandoned carts? Because that show, maybe we need to, if it's the same product all the time, maybe we need to put it on sale and email everyone that's been looking at it. Or maybe they buy it, they get 10% off another product. You know, how can we look at our customers' behavior and use that to inform our marketing efforts? So if we're not really closely checking our analytics and looking at like, how can we give them more of what they want, and how can we assuage their resistances to taking the action that we want? Move back up the funnel. So if you kind of hit that stalemate where you're not selling anything new, or you're kind of selling the same things all the time, you want to move back up the funnel, and change tack and just check that funnel. Be like, have I been have I been using top funnel messaging? Have I been using mid funnel messaging? Have I been using bottom funnel messaging? Am I talking to my different audience members? Things like that. Use what you notice with sales and abandoned carts to inform your marketing. So that's what I was just speaking to. If maybe if you're not selling one of a certain product, it's time to be like, do a post about it and be like, this product is sold out. We can't wait to restock it. The interest in this has been amazing. You know, I always say like, well, I don't always say it, but people that I respect always do, that says like, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Like, if it's just not moving, sometimes a sellout message can be really effective for driving sales on things, or like get on the pre-sale list to get notified when we restock this. One of a jewelry company that I buy from online, they email when they've done a restock, because they put things that sold out all the time. And I would say 9 times out of 10 when I get that email and I'm working, I'm busy, I'm still just like, I'm just gonna check and see what they did. And then I leave things in my cart and then they email me again. They've got the whole thing set up. So you can't overestimate the effectiveness of paying attention to what is moving and what's not. And then look at each thing individually. If it's not moving, like, what are 5 things you can do to get it moving? If this is a product that you want to move, what can you do? How can you get it moving? I also didn't really speak to setting up product tagging on Facebook and Instagram. So that means you have to have your category as a shop on Facebook, and then you can upload either various POSs and things allow, like Lightspeed, for example, allows you to auto upload category or catalogs into your Facebook store. So then you can tag your Instagram posts so people can purchase in app. So you just want to make sure that things are all set up for people to be able to take an action, that gives you money and gets you sales as easily as possible. So we have just gone from the bottom to the top, right? We have gone through your website with a fine-tuned comb. We've looked at all the things that aren't working. We've called a friend and asked them to tell us what works and what doesn't, when they would leave. And we've done everything in our power to adjust that. We've looked at our favorite sites and been like, okay, how does this site work? What are they doing? What are the things that I'm not doing that that site is doing? And that goes down to even beyond the site functionality. It goes down to, like, as I kept saying, those email marketing recommendations, product recommendations, Facebook and Instagram ads, Google ads, retargeting ads, right? What is the whole ecosystem approach that has worked the best on me in my e-commerce experience? And where are my holes with that? I don't know if I recapped this already, but we phone a friend. We get them to give us that same information. When would you leave? When would you lose trust in my website or in my business? And what would stop you from making a purchase? Then we've assessed our money and our effort. We've looked at how much we can put into advertising. We've assessed where the best place is for that advertising. So is it more in social, more in Google ads? Those are my top two, because that's where you have the most control. I know that in the Valley, like I've lived in the Valley for many years. And in the Valley, like print still has major weight. So like Pennywise or the Valley Voice, those are totally reasonable things to do. Where you're going to spend, assessing if you're going to do that. And then what is your ability to put effort in and time? So are you love writing, you can do it in your sleep, you're going to start blogging, or you want to make more videos and things like that. How are you going to create assets to drive traffic to your site? What are they going to be and how much time do you have to do them? Then you have gone through and made sure that you're keeping them in the loop. So if you think about that funnel, maybe you've even drawn out that funnel on a piece of paper and written down 5 things you do at the top funnel, the types of posts that you do, the types of actions that you take, 5 things you do at the bottom of the mid funnel, 5 things you do at the bottom of the funnel, and then 5 things you do at the bottom of the funnel to keep people coming back in that retention phase. Okay. So dang, we're looking like e-commerce marketing machines now, right? We have a system in place. This is awesome. What happens when you get stuck? So when you are just like, the sales aren't running, I'm doing all the things Ann said. She must have just not known what she was talking about. Wrong. What you want to do is one of these things. So launching a loyalty program, hitting up your list, or being like, yo, we appreciate you guys so much. This has been an amazing year for our business. We just want to give back to you. If you've purchased from us in the last 90 days, use code blah, 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 and you're going to get a BOGO deal on this category of product. Nurture your email list. Maybe it's time to come with your email marketing newsletter and be like, if this is something that we want to feature, something that we want to move. This is, we want to tell our story. That's always something that's overlooked, is the power of kind of taking your foot off the gas when your email stats start to drop, or even your social, is like, if you start to see engagement going down and stuff like that, usually it's time for a personal story. It's time to like stop soapbox marketing, move up the funnel and be like, I started this business with a dream in my heart, like that kind of storytelling. You can do things like leverage your existing friends for new connections with a tell a friend account. Like, so where you give, like, if you tell, here's a referral code, and if you tell your friend, if your friend makes a purchase from us, we'll give you 10% off. As I mentioned in the last couple of slides, create scarcity. So take things away. My mentor, as I said, I came from the world of immersive marketing, and he did something that like made other event marketers tremble in their boots. Is he was always like, take tickets off sale. So he would launch a phase of tickets, and then so it's constant scarcity. He would take them off. So tier 1, he would take them off sale, and then tier 2 wouldn't just go on sale when tier 1 had sold out. You had to wait another 3 weeks for more tickets. And then it was like, boom, we have another ticket launch again. So it's this constant range of excitement. It made people scared because they were like, I don't want to do that. What if people want to buy tickets and they can't, and they don't come back? But scarcity works. However, on that note, I have to recommend that you do not be like, just 5 of these left. And then next week, just be like, just 5 of these left, just 5 of these left, because then it kind of backfires and you look like things aren't moving. Explore how to generate return sales. So those are things like I just talked about, nurturing that email list, leveraging a friend. How do you keep people coming back for more? Have a subscription box. Have like, we just launched the new one of these in this series, and you already have the series, so you got to get this next one. Create memorable purchaser experiences. So this is like having a little thank you note and things you ship out, or like a little glitter, or how can you make the experience of purchasing from you custom and unique? And then infuse value into everything you do. So maybe again, you need to move up the funnel, do some videos around like, this is how you make our blank at home, or this is what you want to know before you do something from a service provider like me. So just like scan everything again and be like, am I giving value? Am I providing value in each of these experiences? Write a blog post on like 5 tips for navigating this problem that your customer has, etc. And then the whole flow here is you just want to keep going up and down this process. Continue assessing, and there's never going to be no blocks to purchase, right? So as you've decided, like design that list of all the reasons why someone might not purchase, you've been going for a month or 2 or 3, go back and be like, what now? What now would stop them from purchasing? You want to continue getting feedback from people close to you around when they would leave. You want to continue assessing which of my ads are working better, which photo does better. Let's take more types of those photos. Which copy does better? Let's write more of that copy, which is the text that goes with your ads. Blog posts aren't doing it for me anymore. I'm going to do video. How can I segment my list more specific? How can I be more direct to people with what they've purchased? How can I give them exactly what they want? How can I make my customer experience better? How can I make it more unique for people? What kind of new relationships can I build to help my networking and business opportunities grow? So you just want to keep going through the system, like set a timer for yourself if that helps. Be like every 2 months, I do a 2-hour business review. I take myself out for coffee and go through what's working and what's not. And it's, having those like stop and assess points are really key in growing the effectiveness of your marketing strategy and helping you come up with a plan that really works for you, because you know what works, you know what doesn't, and you're not just shooting in the dark anymore. So that is, sometimes this runs right to the end of an hour if there's a lot of questions, but there was no questions from this quiet little group today. So we have a few minutes if anybody has any questions, or if you want me to revisit any part of the slides that you have questions about, go ahead. I'm just going to see if there's anything in the Q&A. What's like the #1 problem that you guys find with your e-commerce? I answered all of your questions about e-commerce in this 1-hour session. Facebook shop is free. Yes. It'd be great for you and your business. It allows, because then when you like do a photo on Facebook or Instagram, you can tag a product so people can see how much things cost. Shipping costs can be a problem. Totally. Abby, I know you're an artist. Do you do I'm looking at working shipping into the price and offering free shipping. So it feels like a plus. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Shipping really is a huge deterrent to purchasing, right? Because you're like, okay, this is $80, and then you're like, shipping is $45, and then if they live out of the country and they have to pay for that, like, I think that's really, really smart. Free shipping, especially in the age of Amazon, like, it's terrible what they've done to the expectations for business, especially when they're buying from small business owners. Is like, it's not here tomorrow and you want to charge me for shipping, which obviously you need to. So Abby, I think that's definitely a very good choice. It's just work it into the pricing, and then everything has free shipping. Flat rate shipping can be great too. So you kind of make money on the lighter products and then help work it out for the heavier products. Anybody else? It's okay if you don't have any questions. It was obviously a terrific webinar that answered all of your questions for here on in about e-commerce. I'm just kidding. But if you have any, we have a couple minutes, and if not, then that's okay too. Integrating some print on demand products, drop shipping, lots of integration to figure out. Totally. Yeah. 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 I don't know what kind of products you're thinking of, but drop shipping can be great, but your margins go down. But you do get to offer, look like you offer a lot of products. And then what's great about that too is you get data on like what people are most interested in. So you're not just like investing in a ton of inventory and then waiting to figure it out. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh, finding great keywords. Right. So there are keyword generators out there. So you can be like perfume, for example, and it will generate keywords around what people might be looking for. And then additionally, if you just search for products like yours, look at the top ranking sites there and look at the words, the way that they're saying it. So there would be like kind of repeating. And this is an interesting one, right? It's like this is where it's this marriage of looking at our businesses from the outside in and from the inside out. So we might use like beautiful descriptions of our products, but then we also have to pair that on our site with what people are looking for, right? So we might describe our product as like Jess, I know your business, so I'm going to use an example. We might describe it as like artisanally crafted perfumes, but maybe that's not what people are saying when they're like, I want that festival like resin smell, or I want like that like smell that I smelled at the yoga studio, or things like that, right? Oftentimes we're not like artisanal perfumes, for example, or we want like amber smell, or like a smell for like feeling carefree, or things like that. So we have to think about outside in and inside out. I'm glad it was good. Thank you for your feedback, everyone. It's always nice to hear. Cheryl thinking about lots of good things. Sonia said, I think I just need help linking more things. Plus, I'm currently a service and want to launch a product, new territory. Yeah, that's interesting. Totally good for you with launching a product. I don't know if there's a specific question there around linking more things, like connecting different things. I'm thinking you mean connecting different things. And yeah, like connecting things is always easiest if you don't have a coded website, because they're designed for people that don't know how to do code. But there's lots of help. So you want to connect your Facebook and Instagram, you want to connect your newsletter, you want to connect your analytics. Those are like the three big ones. Connecting media site and using analytics. Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure how to answer that specifically of how I can help you here. We do have, like through Community Futures and the Business Based Advisory Council, there's opportunities to get more support with like specifics if you need help with your business. But it's good to know. That's a whole part of it, right? It's like knowing where your not your weaknesses are, but like your sore spots. So much to wade through. But all of these webinars, all these hour-long webinars are like in a perfect world, you know? So even if you just like take 10 minutes once and are like, these are the things I need to work on with my e-commerce site, that's a huge step. If you launch a newsletter, that's a huge step. There we go. Karen put the awesome email in for free digital marketing support. We're so lucky to live in a region that has so many resources for small businesses. Okay, well, I guess if there's no other questions, we'll let you guys all go 5 minutes early, because I'm sure as small business owners, you have a million things to do, and making time in the middle of your day to sit on a webinar with me was not the easiest thing to do. So I really appreciate you all coming. It's so great to meet all of you. And thanks again to the Slocan Valley Chamber of Commerce. Karen, correct me if I got that name wrong, but thank you so much to all of the amazing parties that help put on these webinars. It's been an honor to be involved. Awesome, Victoria. Slocan Valley Economic Development Partnership. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, definitely. The SIDCP. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Good luck. You can do it.